Minutes from the last meeting of
We'll make most of the corrections.
April 26th, or April 12th, excuse me.
I make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Tonight's agenda. Yeah. Okay. Informal, Vincent Park.
I don't see him,
Anyone here? Mr. Park?
and he's not on. I didn't see him. He's not on, he's not
And
there.
we'll continue for now. If you
Can I ask a question?
He may still be dealing with this.
Do you know why
Health
he
issue.
wants to show it?
He has trees that are dead that he wants to take down. And
we have a location.
downstairs somewhere in my notes.
Yes.
I thought he was just going to be here, and his wife's mother became severely ill. And so they've been dealing with hospice and stuff, and they haven't been here, so.
All right. We'll continue him. Bernard Hahn continued. Camp. Have we heard anything from him?
Nope.
Continued.
Hankus shouldn't be there.
Um,
The next one is
2 Christian Hill Road. Who's here for 2
Mike.
Christian Hill Road?
Mike Kulik.
Mike, look at that, right on time.
Right in time.
You submitted an updated plan. An updated plan and an updated kind of additional attachment. You had asked for some language on the plan to include pumping of the pool and hauling it off site. When that happens, that's on the plan that was submitted. And you also asked for the 11 by 17, an additional sheet of the location of that.
Pool.
Possible.
Might be a vernal pool, might not be, yeah.
Excellent.
Wait till summer, we'll check it.
Yeah, right. Well, I know.
Okay,
I think those were the kind of outstanding items on that.
You gave us the planting list before, right?
Yep.
So-
Yeah, we updated the planting list. I know we talked about taking some of the trees off and doing more shrubs. We talked about 10 clusters of 3 each in that area. That's on the new plan too.
Okay. And can you clarify, might be a vernal pool, might not be a vernal pool? What, do we know?
Well, it's not certified as a vernal pool, so until it's certified, it's not.
Okay,
Um,
so it's not,
Yeah, so it's not right now, but.
and it was far away anyway.
It's far from any work, so we're not worried about it from the
It's far,
point
but
of
it's-
view of.
But it's on the property and it's,
It's not going to be impacted.
And there are a lot of vernal pools in that area.
Yeah.
I mean, really a lot, because it started that whole section of town with the area at Bowker's Woods, that's across from the Rockwell Museum, and the one that's on the Rockwell Museum, and the ones that are up off of West Road. There are ones down further, so they're Jefferson salamanders
All through there.
breeding and, doing whatever Jefferson salamanders do in that area. And so it's likely that if it is a vernal pool, that it supports endangered species habitat.
Thank you.
So it's worth noting that it's there. I don't know if this is the updated one or not. I don't think that is.
that's not the one. I have it
And
on.
I apologize if I'm being repetitive, but did we ask about the septic is it going to a town septic or the house?
there's town sewer up there.
There is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Go to the sewer.
And does it is it a new pipe or the clay pipe?
It'll be a new pipe. It'll be,
Okay.
yeah, it'll be
Okay.
all be brand new.
Okay, great.
To this anyway, I don't know.
Thank you.
What's up
But yeah, we can't ask about that.
The architect that was on site said that they were going to empty the pool into the sewer. Is that not the case.
I guess if the sewer will accept it, we'll do that, otherwise it'll have to get pumped out.
Yeah, I'm
We put
not
a note on there to pump it off-site.
sure how the town feels about adding that kind of volume into there.
Flush it out real quick.
All right.
You got it?
Okay, this is the new one.
Anybody want to look at it? The new one?
I'll take a look.
Color.
Lisa, didn't you have a question about improvement?
You did the
He answered
improvement,
it?
yeah, you did the improvement plantings.
Yeah. We had, decided that the shrubs would be acceptable. So the,
I don't know. Did we say it was gonna naturalize in?
yeah, it was gonna be not kind of
Not so.
natural area, right?
And the planting list is here.
You would ask me that. 10 clusters, 3 each.
Okay. Long, yeah,
So that, yeah,
yeah, okay. And they have to live,
that's a left, yeah. That's the idea, right?
yeah.
Otherwise, what are we doing?
But I mean, if they don't live, you have to replace them.
Did you want that, John?
Right.
Any questions? Comments? We okay with this? Close the hearing?
I make a motion, we close the hearing.
I second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
This is one of the new ones.
Matt, did you get my email? Okay, because I had responded to you back beginning of April, saying it was both. It's still both, okay. Oh, okay, it doesn't matter. Preference is always, but here is better, because it's easier for us to look at the plan. But either one is okay.
All right, very good.
You? Is that you?
Oh, that's me, yeah.
Okay, up next. Dina Cola, 15 Lakeview Drive. Come forward if you like, bring a chair up. You can stay there if you wish, whatever.
You just want that on the table or on the, up in the air?
Stable's fine.
So, that's it, right? I don't need to back out.
I'm fine, Martha.
Okay,
I'm gonna stand.
just in case you get fatigued. So, following the site visit, we went back out and took a little closer look at a couple of areas. So, saw this plan last. Back out and took a look. So Stockbridge Bowl to the west of the property. So we went back out and looked at this obvious area of wetland here. There's a bunch of flags out there now that reflect that. Took a look here. It dug 4 handholes in the area of the kind of the lawn area. Didn't find wet there, but there is a wet spot over here. That's reasonably obvious. So this plan reflects the new line. And in response to those,
This,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
yep, kind of those 2 fingers that extend into the property a bit more than we had hoped or thought. So in response to that, we've done a couple things. The terrace has been kind of cut back, not by about half, man, not quite half, but maybe there's almost 30% of it kind of cut off with this terrace. So
it go up.
yeah, so for reference, this lighter shaded house is the existing house.
Yeah.
The darker is the proposed house.
And this is the terrace now. The terrace
okay.
used to be the whole length of the house,
Okay,
but
that
just,
looks like
Just
bricks.
yeah, no, it's pervious.
What are you,
Whatever it
what are you considering pervious?
We talked about Goshen stone, like patio, Goshen stone patio or something dry lane, not poured.
With space between the stones, except probably in the area of the table.
Okay, continue.
Okay, so the plan before had that, the full width, not the full width, but to that corner, so that corner's chopped off. So we pulled that over and as part of that, we were able to kind of tighten up on the grading. So the grading that had kind of run out, well, it was into this wetland area for sure. The grading at the back, kind of the back face, if you were standing at the back face of the existing house, there's about a foot, maybe a foot and a half of fill there with this current plan. And then that just runs down at a 2-to-1. So at its furthest off the house, it's about 7 feet off the back face of the house. There'd be a wedge of fill
Of the new house?
compared to the existing house. Yeah, so off the back face of the existing house, there'd be a wedge of fill that would run into that, just into that lawn area. We also, there are just a couple little detail things that we picked up while we were out there. There's a dry lane path.
Yeah.
There's just some stepping stones. There's not a ton of them. They run about halfway out to the dock. We label it as an existing path. We readjusted the location of the proposed access to the dock to kind of tie into that path. It must have been a knob of fill that they had placed kind of where the dock, just next to the dock, there's a sort of a wad of fill that we kind of pushed this over to stay on top of that. Instead of, we were off kind of in the lower ground
And
there.
what will the path be?
Just pea stone,
Yeah.
unless there's another preference. But pea stone was the idea, just something to get down there 3 feet wide and,
As long as it doesn't catch too much water, start moving it.
well, what we found with some of these sites where we do this sort of terrace arrangement, we catch a lot of the water up above and it has a chance to filter through these stone retaining walls.
Which way does the roof shed water on the new house?
Off to the sides.
Not towards the lake at all?
No. Roofs are like that.
And
And what catches that water?
we have drip edges that then, so drip edges on either side. And then the drip edges would go into the rain garden.
Okay. There are two rain gardens?
Just one.
How do you get water from the other side of the house?
It's gonna have to run along the back. It'll have to run along the back. It'll have to run along the face of the house. And like I was saying about the road runoff has got a chance to get into all this kind of landscaping. It ends up being a sort of an informal method of treatment. It catches that road runoff and gives it a chance to filter through. When they end up putting yards and yards of stone in behind the retaining wall, so we have what turns out to be a pretty good filter.
Is it says proposed gravel parking area, so that, right now, what is it?
A gravel parking area.
Oh, it is,
Partly gravel, yeah, I mean,
right here,
so you guys are all wearing masks and I'm not.
it's okay.
All right, it's not required.
But
Oh.
currently, is that a
So
gravel?
this is the driveway now,
Okay,
that line
yes,
right there. That comes down and it's kind of buried in behind the building, but so you can drive down in here now and turn around and drive. This is the end of the driveway.
okay.
This is the end of the driveway. So this is all kind of driveway down in here now.
It's all cleared land, yeah.
Okay,
So you can drive down in there and the ideal is to kind of pull everything back. The house comes back from the lake and the parking ends up just this area here. So and then the rest of this would be landscaped.
like grass or,
Oh, I'm probably gonna do like gravel, to be honest, with some beds,
okay,
planting beds.
okay.
So, two questions. There were a lot of invasives coming out down here, right? Barberry.
So,
Yes.
yeah, we showed, I tried to, so some of this is in resource, some of it's not in resource, but I put a note on here about pulling that out, not getting a machine in there, but pulling it out either by hand or with a cable
Yeah.
to a machine somewhere else. There's a bunch of stuff in there and
Honeysuckle and stuff
honeysuckle
comes
and,
up pretty easy. It's just on the surface.
yeah, the buckthorn.
Barberry.
But the
There's
buckthorn is
barberry, buckthorn and
impossible.
honeysuckle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if you try and pull the buckthorn, but
No, you
you try and pull the barberry.
Yeah, and the honeysuckle.
Yeah, the buckthorn I have trouble with there.
Yeah, because the barberry will just grow back. I mean, really do anything.
What were you going to put there?
Well, there's native stuff in there now. There's stuff in there.
What was there? I don't remember.
There's trees. I mean, as far as ground cover, there's not much for ground cover. There's one skunk cabbage that I saw.
You might be wet there.
Chances are it's wet. That tipped me off.
All right, no.
So, but were you gonna do additional
We
planting?
didn't propose it and we didn't show any in there. I was kind of, sometimes
Yeah, if you're taking that stuff out, it'd be nice to maybe put in some dogwood, something.
Yeah, that actually, I mean, I actually didn't know whether, I knew we could take stuff out, but I didn't know if I could put stuff in the
Not
wetlands.
native wetland shrubs.
Yeah.
And that'll help
Elderberry, swamp
stop
rose,
the
any of that stuff.
Other stuff
Yeah.
coming back.
With wet feet.
too.
Yeah, I'm
And,
fine with that.
Now to the trees.
yeah,
the trees,
And,
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. Can you remind me of the size of the old house and the size of the new house?
Gail, do you know that off the top of your head?
Not really. I want to give wrong numbers. Is David on the line? He might know.
The new house is 1,332 square feet,
Footprint?
and including the screen porch,
Okay.
it's 1,500.
Oh, okay.
Does that answer the question?
That's enough, yeah.
The size of the new size of the patio is how much?
21 by 17. It used to be it was 35 almost.
we asked for a tree, what was coming down.
We asked to know what was coming down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is my cheat sheet. We shot every tree. We shot all the trees that are 4 inches or bigger. I'm happy to share this too. It's not, what's out there is out there, but I came up with 20 trees
That are coming down.
that are coming down. Some of them are
Dead.
maybe out of,
Well, I'd give you 5 or 6 dead ones.
At least, actually, I went.
So that's 15.
counted some more, it's probably 7 or 8, but yeah.
so where do you propose to plant new trees?
On the sides, we already show on the plan we put in for,
don't work out for this because it's kind of.
Yeah, so-
I'm not hiding it, but
we had already showed we were gonna do, actually, I'd like to do white birches, but river or white birches. So that was 4. So I think honestly, because of sun and exposure, I mean, it's stuff, I wanted to put a red maple in, the only place, there's gonna be a river birch there as part of the rain garden. Initially, I was gonna put a red maple in there.
Yeah.
But that is now wetlands, so,
And put a silver maple.
yeah, I could put something in. And then I think along both
and
sides,
there's stuff growing in there. I don't know.
yeah,
I
Maybe,
mean, I would like to see as many trees as close to the resource area
as possible.
You know, you want all that stabilized and protected and
the issue is space. I mean, it's a small plot, you know, that, so, I mean, trees
Right.
have to have,
But you're taking out 20 trees.
yeah, but a chunk of them are dead and
14 at least are
15.
alive.
14 are alive, so, you know, I think we've got,
So we want to
had to put at least that in, for sure.
The only press upon each project, because if you take 15 and she takes 15 and he takes 15, like, it's a lot of trees.
Yeah, no, I'm actually, and I plan to put in reasonable size ones. I'm not putting in little babies because I'd like the privacy effect and I'd like them, you know, I'd like it to be. So that's the idea.
But so I mean, I want to see what it is and where it's going. If you could tell me.
Are they gonna be on the map?
So we have
How many do you have on the map
we
now?
have 4,
Five.
5, 6, 7, 8. We had, in the rain garden, we had three red osiers and a tree, because it's kind of a modest area, and then we had the other 4. So there are other areas, obviously, of the site that will be, graded areas are kind of
Not conducive.
currently not disturbed, but there's an opportunity there for some plantings. Shrubs or,
Yeah, I mean,
Trees.
I think shrubs would be there.
you said trees.
You're taking out trees.
Most
We
of
really
the
wanna see
space
some
though
trees.
is here, you know, and you know what I mean? There's not a lot of room
How
down
about in
there.
this, in that BVW?
In that wetlands area, okay, if I didn't actually have the sense we could plant trees in the wetlands
Opposed to
area.
a
so-
tree.
If you've got something that'll survive in the wetlands,
I mean, there's plenty of things that,
red maple do.
Red maple.
red maple,
Because it protects the wetlands, among other things.
maple would do okay, sycamore would do
But We're,
okay.
we're talking planting by hand, not big machinery or.
Yeah, yeah,
No, a
yeah, well, I'd love to
couple
get.
gallon pot that's gonna, or,
Yeah, something like that.
no, 5 gallon pot?
5 gallon.
But I mean, I think we could commit
Not
to
a-
certain.
No, not a quart.
Show them on the
Corn stuff in the ground doesn't cut it.
sense of the sunlight and the light conditions of the site. Most of the sunlight is here. There's dappled, you know, more dappled here, so, you know,
So-
some of that is.
So, we're gonna plant 14 trees, even if you stick them in the woods where the dead trees were,
Okay,
okay?
yeah,
So that'll
But-
fill in
but
that space.
Some down by the resource area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
2
No.
or 3, I
No.
wanna,
What's between the water and your patio? The end results of that.
well, I'd like to plant, again, some native shrubs here, and it could be, actually, the Heliolist, I was surprised to see, has both azalea and rhododendron, interestingly enough.
It's really wet now. It's really wet through there.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, I have to see, I mean, it's hard to tell because, you know, well, it's wet now, but
It's wet at
after
the
all
toe, and
this
as you
stuff
come up,
is
it'll be-
done, it may be a different condition.
It'll be less wet as you come up, but
Yeah, but I want to put a bunch of dogwood in. I initially had wanted to put some, you know, some tall grasses and some flower stuff, native flowers also, wildflowers. So, you know, nobody's going to really be walking here. I mean, I think they'll be using the path.
So, where I'm going is, there's gonna be a area between what you considered lawn
Right,
and water that is now a planting. You don't have 35 feet there, so we need
I don't want to do lawn if that's what you're asking.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
It's actually not
oh, okay,
even permitted.
okay, yeah, no, so
how
what,
many feet we got? Like,
so, and at the close, so there's 30 feet, right? There's 30 feet here. We've got 30 feet from the erosion controls. But from the grading, there's 35 feet, almost 40 feet.
so we're looking,
So there's
yeah,
some room
So
there.
the Lake and Pond Overlay District requires a vegetated 35-foot buffer from the edge of the lake. And that's not always practical, but it's always our goal.
yeah. Well, I'm happy to do as much shrubbery, native grasses and flowers as I can put in that space that it'll take. I don't know how many plants that is, But
That's a pretty
I
good
don't
area.
see an issue. I mean, I'm not gonna be doing much gardening up here of any kind, so this will be the only place I'd be planting.
Are you doing this or are you gonna have a landscaper do it?
I do the design. I have a
Oh.
gardener I work with who plants everything for me because I can no longer do that.
Are you,
It's on my back.
are you willing to drop a design and send it to us?
I don't have, I don't use formal tools. I use little,
If you wanna just,
you know, what do you call that
You
paper?
can sketch it right on here.
I could
I think
sketch
you
it
can
on
sketch
there.
it.
Yeah.
I could do, I've actually got some sketches already.
some ideas of what you wanna put in there and the.
Yeah.
And what's gonna be best to, in terms of protecting the resource area is shrubby stuff.
Right.
You know, wildflowers are nice, they're pretty, but,
Well, I want to have some of that.
yeah, no, some of it, but I mean, in terms of protecting the resource area.
Yeah,
you wanna
yeah.
go-
No, I mean, I've gone through the helio list. It's, you know, it's basically the red dogwood, it's the swamp rose, the elderberry, the, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I can sort that out.
So just to go back over this, we're gonna find space for 14 trees,
Yep,
even if we go into the woods where the dead ones are taken out.
yep,
We're gonna do plantings in front of the patio,
yes.
the edge of the water.
Gonna remove the invasives.
Yeah, you can stuff something in where you yank the honey.
Pull one back.
Pardon?
We pull something sizable out, we'll put
Yeah.
a shrub back or
There you
a
go.
couple shrubs.
Yeah.
We have a,
Yeah,
Most of those were off to the side anyway, so you could possibly stuff a red maple in one of those spots or something like that.
yeah, red maple needs moist and sun.
Well,
So the-
how much sun to get in there, but you got
we got more.
They're gonna have to be down
Got more,
by the
got
water.
that covered.
Yeah.
one out of two. Any other questions, comments?
Red maple will grow anywhere.
Yeah.
It will.
Well, I actually love them. I have one where I am now and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, they'll grow anywhere.
Okay.
So this is gonna be pumped to town sewer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a sewer right at the, I don't know if you saw it down low there, there's a
Yeah, I
sewer
did.
that ties into the line there now, kind of runs cross lots, but, yep, it'll be tied back in.
The only thing I'm not sure about is the parking, but that's up beside the house, so. I don't see that as an issue if we're gonna plant where you have to take things down.
Yep.
And that kind of gets caught behind that wall too, not that it's not an official filter, but it kind of acts as a pretty decent filter.
Now, I have one question, and that is, when we get done with this and we tell you that you're fine and go on your way, whatever you have in the way of a general contractor and landscaping people, can they kind of acknowledge the fact that they have seen this?
Yeah, Rick Tuggy's my builder. I don't know if you know
I know
who he is,
Ricky.
and I've already given him everything, so, and I've met with him, so he's just waiting for the construction drawing.
Well, we'd like to know that he's looked at that.
Yes, he looked at that early on. He wants
So
to
if
get
he
his,
can either send us an email.
Yes.
Chamber understands what it is that we want.
Not an outside
He
guy.
can send
No, it's, no,
Swimming pool, little swimming pool.
copy of
we don't show the plan
okay,
anymore.
he hasn't seen the latest, because
No,
it's
it's just
based on
it's a
the
sort of-
most, so we'll send him this.
I thought, oh,
Who should it go
Yeah,
to?
just have him send it to
we got
Conservation
caught on that, too.
Commission.
Yeah.
It's at town, or it's at Stockbridge.
Can you-
Dash.
Yeah, I need to write down the,
Okay, Conservation Commission. Yeah, Stockbridge dash ma.gov.
okay.
You'll
Okay,
tell
so,
us before the work starts too, so we'll come out and do a site visit.
yeah, the work won't, the current hope is the work will start at the end of September. But that's if all the permitting goes through in a timely enough fashion, so,
Have you been to planning board?
no, not yet. We did your first LOPD. What's the sequence?
That's it. LPOD and conservation, yeah.
Yeah.
You may be back to us then.
No, don't say that.
Yeah. Let's hope not. You've been
You know
helpful,
something we don't
so.
know.
Yeah. All right, any more questions? Comments?
I think it'll be an improvement.
Thank you. I do too. So do my neighbors, by the way.
No, I think move it back and clear the plan. We got it.
Shall we,
Thanks.
motion to close?
I make a motion to close.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Good. Anybody else want to give it back or hold on?
Let's from here.
Sally usually takes a copy.
No, you can't.
Somebody will want to look at it. Much better.
I can fold, I can crumple that up for you, so I can't watch you do that anymore.
Wait, don't do that, because whatever you do, I need to.
I gave it to you.
Oh, okay. Well, then what's wrong with what I just did?
Watch.
I got That's from the guy who makes us go out in blizzards.
I know.
Right, thank you. I just need this so that I know the last date.
Okay. Up next. 3 Ice Glen Road. Request for determination. We all set on that?
This is new.
This is new?
This is new.
This is new.
Good evening,
Now
everyone.
what are we doing?
We know Jackson, but this is new.
This is new. Before I get started on this, I'll comment on 8 Hawthorne Road.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Goodman specifically asked me to make sure that there was a vote taken to issue the order of conditions, but I wasn't sure since I wasn't here at the last hearing.
We did.
I thought we did.
All right, then I've done my part.
She wasn't here either then, huh?
Yes, she was.
Well, why
I
didn't
thought
you
she
know
was on the
that?
video.
So the notice of intent was voted to be closed with Lisa Bizzuto making the motion and
Great.
John Hart making the
Second.
second, and it was unanimous and it was closed.
Perfect, thank you. Good evening. You know my name's.
It's actually in the minutes if she's really worried.
Okay, I can send those to her then. You're all relatively familiar with this property, 3 Ice Glen Road. This is new proposed work under a request for determination of applicability. All this work is limited to this corner of the property at like the second gate that we've gone to before. There's this existing tennis court here. There's the existing pond that we've seen together before. Its outlet channel shown here in blue, some upstream BBW of that pond, and then the associated 100-foot buffer zone shown there in blue. The entirety of the proposed work is the removal of this tennis court, which is about 7,350 square feet. And they would like to replace that with partially with lawn over through this area. And then they would like to plant approximately 3,000 square feet within the buffer zone, partially covering what used to be the tennis court and the surrounding hedges and fence.
Are the hedges coming down, Jackson?
That's the plan, yeah, to remove this tennis court and get rid of those hedges around it and like the fence that's within them. And then they'll plant this area, this 3,000 square feet with this native planting list of ground cover plants, as well as a few native shrubs. And then plan is to try to get 3 nice, large native trees in there, eastern hemlocks and a red maple right there. And that's the entirety of the proposed work.
And they're not worried about the eastern hemlock?
Hey, Ice Glen is ravaged with the adelgid.
Yep, they're passionate about trying to ward off that effect
Treat
and
it.
trying to treat them and save them as much, or all the hemlocks on the property as much as they can. So that is their preference to put that there, but if
Sorry, tell me again, the hemlock and what was the other thing?
a red maple.
Red maple.
And it's hedge that's coming down?
Yeah, it's an existing,
There's a tennis
hedgerow
court,
around there.
which is surrounded by a very tall hedge at this point. So it was from the last century.
What is it?
I believe it's arborvitae's surrounding there. So their plan is to just get rid of this and restore most of that area to lawn, and then this 3,000 square feet here inside the buffer zone to native plantings. Yep, and this is kind of part of their plan to try to improve the pond area and restore it back to the way it was previously. But this is just like a small chunk of work they want to get started with before they.
Is that the only area of plantings that they're interested in at this time, or?
At this time, yeah, this is the only work they want to do. They're keeping it all kind of on this side of the
Have a
driveway.
view of the pond from, is that the house in the corner?
I think they're just don't like the looks of those big overgrown shrubs there, and they don't have a use or want for this old like clay tennis court, and they would just like to restore it to lawn in that area, and then try to their future plan is to like clear the invasives out of this area and fill this in with native plantings and try to do some improvements to the stonework, but that's not something they're proposing under this request for determination. And they're just keeping it limited to the removal of that court, the surrounding shrubs and fence, and then this native planting.
The outflow of the pond, is that going to be impacted at all?
Nope.
I asked on behalf of a neighbor who voiced some concern to me.
Definitely not as part of this proposed work, and any future improvements to the pond wouldn't be altering this in any way, really. They would just be kind of trying to improve the stonework pretty much. So I don't think there'll be any adverse effects to the downstream resource areas.
It wouldn't be permittable anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't want to alter that channel. Yep.
How about a bit of history, Jackson? This one too. I think that pond was done around 1910, something like that. Is that,
Boy, good memory, Joe.
Sally was there. So, and it was done by this guy from Chicago who was the top in the country at the time of natural ponds. I mean, it's a significant piece of work.
Yeah,
So that what you're saying seems to support all that, you know, you want to bring it back to the natural, a more natural state.
Mr. Wild apparently is quite the history buff
Yeah,
for
he's
this property.
dug up quite a bit of photographs
He's been
about it.
doing
So you've seen all that, okay.
and all kinds of stuff like that to try and bring it back to the way it was.
Yeah.
So it's really pretty cool what they're planning to do.
Well, that's
Yeah, that's the idea. He's got quite a few photographs of what it looked like, and it was vastly different because all of the surrounding area was cleared. But their point is to kind of restore the immediate area to more of what it used to look like. But that's all in the future. And for now, they just want to get started with this small chunk of work.
it'd be interesting how you would
Yeah.
adapt the current standards to what were then the
What
standard.
are they gonna do with the tennis court itself? Ship it out?
The material.
Yeah.
I would imagine they would take that somewhere off site. They don't have much of an area to store that, like a stockpile of material like that. So
It's gotta be a few feet of gravel on top of clay and.
yeah, I believe so. So I think there'll be some excavation and then replacement with clean fill and then topsoil to get the lawn and these native plantings to grow in that area. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's underneath there. But imagine all of that will have to be taken off site.
And would there be a limit of work with regard to that in terms of protecting the pond?
I think the limit of work in this case would be basically the driveway. Their plan is to keep all of the work on the opposite side of the driveway
It's
of the pond.
unlikely that the two would affect each other.
Yeah, this slopes downward from the pond in a way, so if there is any potential erosion that happened, it would all just flow down toward the street rather than toward the pond. But I think it should be relatively straightforward work to, get that material out of there and replace it with, good material that can grow some vegetation.
So any trucking excavator marks and stuff will end up being leveled off and graded and seeded.
Yep. Yeah, any damage that's done to the lawn, I think they'll want to smooth out as much as possible and make it look uniform.
We've got a lot to do already in that regard. The place is a mess.
They do. So I think, it'll be.
So,
Well, we could go back a little further too. Just up the hill from that, there was an applicant before us, and he actually told me that on the downside of his property, it's up higher now. It was pure sand. I mean, it was glacial deposits of stuff.
Did we find out anything about the fence, Jackson?
This fence here.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, I don't know who put it up. I wasn't able to figure out that. The owner doesn't really know. But this, it's partially located on the neighboring property and partially located on this property. So I think we'd have to contact this abutter and work something out with them to modify.
Now it's a wildlife barrier, just so. It's a bit wildlife barrier.
Yeah, it's about a
It's
4
a chain link fence.
chain link fence, and it runs the length of this property line essentially, as far as I've walked in anyway.
So they are thinking they were going to try and do something to fix that.
Yeah, I spoke with Kendra about that, so I think there is a plan to address that, but it is partially not on their property according to our survey. So we would have to try to work with this abutting neighbor.
Well, any improvement is an improvement, so.
I had an interesting experience on that property once when I was working for Tom Farley, the landscaper, but he had been hired by Mr. Cassis, who at the time owned the property, to have the hedge that goes between the house, the main house and the road trimmed. So
how tall was it at that?
Farley took me over there with a 25-foot ladder, and up I went, and I kept going down and down with a stick with a trimmer on the end of it until I came across a hornet's nest. At which point I met Mr. Cassis as I was jumping off the ladder.
All right, any other questions, comments?
Yep, good.
Okay, with it.
I've seen this property a lot. Do you want to do a
Sounds like-
site
I'm
visit?
okay, but, you know.
You familiar with it? I'm good with it.
It's not the last time you'll see it either, so. All right, thank you all.
Close, make a motion to close the hearing.
I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second,
Second,
all in favor? Aye.
Thank you all for your time.
thank you.
That's your last? Okay, now who we got? Now, we have 36 Lake Drive. Up next. Additions, reconstructions, drainage, utilities, deck. Dock.
Evening, folks. You ready?
Tree removal, yeah.
How are you? Matthew Punton from SK Design Group. You guys can put your chairs up. With me, I'm representing the owners of the newer owners of the property at 36 Lake Drive. They're here with us tonight, and along with one of their representatives that's going to help with the project. I apologize, I don't have full-size color plans. I kind of was planning on staying home, and I made a last-minute decision to come here. If Sally happens to have the application, I could pull out the full-size plans, but I'll give you an oversight, and I do have smaller plans for what it's worth, and I did email everything. All right, we'll start with this. They're very small to see, but this is down at 36 Lake Drive. I don't know if anyone's been to the property just yet or familiar with it. It's a relatively small lot at, just like a third of an acre. And there's an existing house there, and we're here for a variety of reasons. Number one It has a failed septic system. Failed last year. We're proposing an entirely new septic system with alternative treatment. And what I mean by that is an alternative treatment septic tank, which cleans the effluent before it gets into the ground. And then basically an alternative septic dosing. So these are the same plans, one's smaller in color, one's full size, black and white. And there's a lot of more information here. So kind of number one is fix the septic system. Number two is some work on the house. The house has seen better days. It's got a little bit of damage on the exterior, rot damage. The trees are overgrown, and that's going to be one of the discussion points tonight about the trees. But they would like to do some work on the house itself, including removing kind of a small little mudroom that's really not in great condition and creating a new entrance. Here on my plan, it's the kind of darker gray area on the north side of the house is a new entryway. At the south side of the house, they want to create a utility room. So this being kind of a traditional kind of summer cottage, not all the utilities are really up to snuff for a year-round use.
Can I?
Go ahead, sure.
Can you just show me where the resource is?
Oh, down to the Stockbridge bowl. Yep. The color one shows it a little bit better if you just want to get a quick reference. So the blue is Stockbridge bowl, adjacent to it is bordering vegetated wetlands.
Or, so this is,
This is a proposed dock system.
but this is vegetated wetlands?
Yes, where my kind of my little wet marsh symbols are, which is the green over there.
And so the house is how far from the BBW?
Existing?
Yep.
It's probably 10 feet. It's close, it's right here.
And they're planning on getting closer?
No, so let me, that's why I'm walking you through this. So you can see the existing house, and if you look at that, it's kind of the reddish color.
Yep.
And the darker grays on the north side and the south side are a couple of additions. And really the north side is removing an existing, again, I call it a mudroom, it's an entryway, creating a new one that actually works and it meets code requirements. On the south side is a utility room. And I just want to briefly talk about that. So there's an existing well, and I'm sure people are familiar with wells. Wells are generally regulated by a pressure tank. If anyone has a well in town, when you lose pressure in your system, it kicks it on. The current pressure tank is on the outside of the house. It's not even in a conditioned space. There's a crawl space under the building, partial. Even that's not conditioned that well, and it's about 2 feet tall. You can hardly crawl it. So they're trying to create a utility room for one, to make their well components work properly and also address some other kind of old hot water heater, electrical service, things like that. That's what the darker gray is on the stuff. Is a small utility room, 80 square feet, 8 by 10 roughly.
And why does it have, why can't it be farther from the wetland?
Why can't it be farther from the wetlands?
Have to be there.
Part of it has to do with the grading. I can address it now. So if you look at the property, it's a relatively steep slope coming down what I call the back side of the house from the road down. And that's part of the other improvements includes addressing drainage. But to construct a utility area, and it would be beneficial to be close to the well, we're proposing it on this is the south side of the house, which is a relatively flat area. And while I have this plan out on the west side of the house, between the road and the house itself, as I mentioned, there's a pretty steep slope, and it's actually pitched and filled in such a way that it's up against the siding, which is kind of house building 101. You never backfill up against your siding. You always want to have some exposed foundation. And so we're looking at doing some grading and drainage improvements on the uphill side of the house. That includes putting in a curtain drain or French drain, whatever you might want to call it. That'll collect primarily surface water, creating a little bit of a grading area to make sure we don't have the fill or the soil backfilled right up against the side of the house. I'm just trying to remember all the septic system.
Where is the septic system?
So that plan, it's a little hard to see, but I'm just going to switch one plan for you real quick here. There's a lot going on in a very small area.
How big is the property?
About a third of an acre total.
0.28. 0.28.
So it's just a little under a third, actually.
And the square footage of the house?
The square footage of the house, can I get through the septic? Then I'll jump. There's a lot of numbers. I'm just trying to remember them all. So we're looking at doing a new septic tank, new pressure chamber, dosing chamber into a septic field. The tank and the chamber would be under the driveway. The septic field is off to the septic field's off to the side of the lawn area. It's we're looking at doing a perk system, which uses the irrigation tubing, if you've seen that. It's kind of a newer technology.
They just did that at my house.
Is this,
Right.
where's the old system?
That's interesting. Basically, right under the driveway. There's an old round tank and some sort of dry well. They're both in failure.
Oh, I can imagine.
Parsons was out there last year, Kelly Granger and Parsons, and tried to do a perk test, and it actually ended up, they took a soil sample to get a result for a perk test. And while we're on the subject, I do have approval from Tri-Town Health Department.
That was my question.
Did you send that to us?
I did not send you the approval, but I can.
Okay.
It's easy to, yep,
Yep.
absolutely. On my way here, I'm like, I should probably send it to him, so it wasn't a question. But yeah,
Sally, can you CC that to either us or me?
We'll have Matt send it to Conservation Commission, Stockbridge -MA. Do you have our new?
well, we've been emailing all day.
And I just, sometimes it comes and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, Tri-Town Health Department approval, I can get you that, absolutely. There was a question about square footage of the house. And Steve, Richard, you might remember better.
1,200.
It's about a 1,200 square foot.
And there's a deck?
There is a
that a-
covered porch on the lakeside. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't even want to call it a covered porch. It's really part of the house.
It's a sunroom.
It's a covered sunroom.
And that's existing?
That's existing, yep.
Is that a part of the measurement? Okay.
Yes, that's the reddish area that I colored there. So the proposed, I'll call it structural additions of the house are the dark gray rectangles on either side.
What's the square footage of those?
So the utility room is 80 square feet. It's on the south side of the house. And the north side, and even I got to double check my numbers. Exactly, 115 square feet.
We're also taking square feet away.
Sure, so
So there's a little gain.
a little give, little take, but in the net end, it's a little bit of an increase. I think it's about 100 square feet increase, 95.
Where are you taking that away?
So back to my black and white plan, this area here and here. This is the existing entryway, and this is an existing half-ish entryway into the sunroom. It just doesn't function really well, so that'll come off. And there's a chimney too. The chimney is not ready to fall over, but it's seen better days. There's gaps between the chimney and the building, and it's not
Is the
great.
chimney going to be replaced at some point?
I think the plan is just complete removal
No.
of the chimney.
Okay.
Complete removal.
Curious. Because that's on the non-lake side of the house, right?
So I just wanted to go through my punch list real quick, and happy to answer any questions and interrupt me. We talked about the utility room, the entranceway, the chimney and the stairs getting removed, new septic system, improving drainage. Now some of the site work that I think folks are probably interested in.
Before you hit that,
Yep, go ahead.
where are you gonna put the septic tank?
Under the driveway.
I didn't think that was legal.
Absolutely is.
Oh,
I'm a civil engineer that designs.
I know, I always
every
thought
day.
because of the weight of cars and trucks on the
That's a
driveway.
good point. You design them stronger.
Oh, okay,
There's sewer manholes underneath the highway that tractor trailers drive over.
Okay.
every day.
That's where,
okay.
triple chamber, whatever you're putting in,
So it's a double, it's a
double chamber.
Well, actually, it's a jet bat treatment system. So a jet bat is an alternative technology.
They require more maintenance.
They do? Yep.
Right in the driveway would be,
It's almost easier to get to,
yeah.
but it has its own nuances. So back to your point. So there's different ratings that
Okay.
us engineers use for strength, and we just use a term, it's called H20 rating.
Okay.
Basically, you can drive a tractor trailer over it.
Okay.
I don't think there's many tractor trailers getting down there.
Or cement truck.
That'll actually go in at the very end of the whole project. The last thing you want to do is put in a brand new septic system, then just start doing a whole bunch of construction around it. So that'll be near the end of the project.
No. This is just my cure, basically, we got here. Dog foot. The house is gonna pretty much be gutted. Yes,
Not
no.
good. No, some walls will be moved,
Sidings,
New siding,
the sidings, yeah. But no change to
A
the,
couple of little additions,
yeah.
no new decks, no new porches,
No.
That's correct.
grading.
Except for the dock system, there's a new dock system.
Dock.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yep.
What's the percentage of the coverage of the house currently to the site?
I think I actually have that number on our plans. And I'm glad you were nice enough to bring it for me. Existing lot coverage of the building is 9.4%.
Okay, because the planning board's going to want to know that.
Okay. That's why we have this little chart up here.
And that's with the,
We
that's,
do our best to like cover everything, and then someone always asks something that
So the coverage of the proposed house?
9.9%. We went from 9.4 to 9.9. An increase of about 100 square feet or 95 square feet.
You might just squeeze in under the change that's going to be coming, I think, we hope.
Should I continue with some more of the proposed work, or is there?
Yeah.
can I ask one question?
You can ask whatever you like.
So
Sure.
how are you removing the dock and is there going to be light coming through?
How are we removing the dock? Oh, so I was going to try to cover all the aspects, so I can jump right to that. The existing dock, it's a dock. Well, there's really two components. There's what I call a deck, which is this square up here, which is a little bit more permanent. And Steve here, has some pictures. I don't know if I have pictures in my application. I just don't remember if I have the dock. And then there's a typical 4-foot wide walkway that goes out into the water. This walkway that goes out into the water, it's on stilts, like many of them are. You walk in there and you carry it out. It's that simple.
And light will come through the new one?
Yeah, I was still getting to the removal of the old one, but yes, this is a little bit more permanent, although, not really built to the best standards of today. It's probably been there for 20 years or more. Don't really know what it's sitting on, but there's some sort of post in the ground. It can almost be removed by hand. If need be, it'll be removed by hand because it is in a resource area.
Yeah.
So now to the proposed, and that was one of the questions on the DEP comments.
Right.
Proposed, what I call deck, because it is permanent, 8 by 8,
Same dimension.
same dimension as the old. I just want to double check that. That I want to put on some helical piles or techno posts, if you folks are familiar with those. They drill them into the ground, very little disturbance. That'll get framed with typical lumber, and it can have, I think 1/4-inch gaps is kind of a general rule of thumb that most commissions like, and I think there's even some policy on that I can probably quote. And then the dock system, I believe you want to go with a floating. Was it floating? Yeah.
That's our intention, is to do floating.
A floating seasonal dock, pretty common. It'll go up and down as the water level goes, and then come fall, you pull it out. 9 times out of 10 or even more, people are getting in there and just carrying it and picking it up. That's how,
Less than 200 square feet.
it's exactly 200 square feet. We've been, again, there's a lot of numbers. We really do our best.
Get your pencil sharpened right.
And I double checked here. They're right on top of things.
Now, I mean, our intent is to build it to whatever specifications are required for light and everything else. With the, most environmentally friendly material, we're very much on that board.
Okay, good. Can you address the DEP comments then?
I have not provided, I can do it right now if you like. I mean, I can give you
Have to
verbal.
do a site visit anyway,
Yeah.
so
I kind of assume that.
we could do.
I can walk through them.
Then we can do it at the
That
site
review
visit.
at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could do it in about 2 minutes.
Are there any trees to come down?
That's the big one. I'm getting there. Two other points I want to point out. Some yard work between the house and the lake. So you'll see when you do a site visit, and it is in some of the photos, it's a lawn. It's far from a user-friendly lawn. A lot of big rocks and boulders and roots and ups and downs. They want to create something a little bit more, friendly that they can sit in
In the
there.
BVW?
No. We're not creating any lawn in a BVW.
But it's-
This is buffer zone.
Okay, but buffer zone?
Yeah, it's absolutely, the entire lot is in the buffer zone.
Yeah.
The 100-foot buffer zone line crosses the street.
But I know we haven't seen it, but
Yep.
stones and roots in the buffer zone serve a purpose.
Okay,
So we may not want any of that
okay.
messed with.
So what is proposed in this location is a stone wall, kind of this L shape. You can see it on here too. And this will allow them to create more of a level lawn in that area just off the house. That's what's proposed.
Yep,
That's Phil.
That's Phil, absolutely. Yes, sir.
not liking it. We have to see it, but
Okay.
not something I would be in favor.
All right. I mentioned the grading on the uphill side of the house. I just don't, so that's some work on the uphill side to let the house breathe better and function better. And then one big question is the tree removal. So that's why we have.
Before you go there, you can fill this.
Correct.
I assume these are stairs?
That's correct, yep.
So how high are you filling? How,
It's on, yeah, it's a good question. It's on my plan, about 3 to 3.5 feet. So call it waist level, maybe a little more than waist level. In some areas, it'll taper down to nothing, but in other areas, it'll be about 3 feet tall, 3.5 feet tall.
over the
We'll
roots
have
of stone?
stakes there when we go for a site visit.
I will have stakes there.
There are many who forget stakes
What the
when we go
stakes?
to the site visit.
So I just have a clarification question. So the issue, I hear you about roots and stones.
Yeah.
Does this provide any kind of a erosion barrier and control? Because there is, I mean, when you come to the site visit, you'll see right on the edge of the wetlands, we're seeing erosion happening for our, especially after last year's rains.
Sure.
So our thinking and our proposal in working with Matt was this would actually be an advantage
Sure,
to help with erosion.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to a stone. We have to see the site. I'm not opposed to a stone wall there, but I would really want to, off the top of my head, I'm not in favor of taking out stones and roots and putting in grass, because it just doesn't help anything down here.
The stones would not be removed.
Would it be graded on top of the stones?
So there's a lot of bigger rocks just sticking out of the lawn. The thought was, would you fill on top of them? I understand your questions and concerns.
And putting grass,
And then the finished surface would be grass.
yeah.
The erosion that's occurring now, is it by any chance a reason, is it the runoff from the house
Road?
or the road?
It's hard for me to say. I think Steve and Rachel have seen it more. I've been to the property 3 or 4 times. You folks have, maybe can give some more insight, or we'll probably see it once we do our site visit.
Right.
What might be the cost.
Yeah, we were thinking that since we have to get to this side of the house anyway to get underneath the house, so you can get into underneath the foundation, if we had this protection and a barrier, and then the steps here so you can get to the dock on this side of the house, that this could just be wild and just be untouched. We're not walking on it. We're not bringing kayaks down to the dock or anything like that. So that was our thinking. If there's some flaw in that thinking, we'll be happy to reconsider. But we just wanted to let this be.
Yeah.
So,
A site visit tells us a tremendous
Exactly.
amount. It's really hard, even, having done this for years and years and years, it's really hard to envision what it's going to look like.
I have a picture here, but it's not going to be the same.
No, it's walking the site is really like critical.
Okay, back to the
Tree removal, maybe the $1 million question.
Dun, dun, dun.
So with us, we have Will, an expert. He's gonna help explain. So I'll just jump in real quick. Some of the trees are in very close proximity to the proposed septic system.
Sorry.
So those are, I don't want to say a given, but those I think I can justify. We have trees where we need to build a septic field because we have a failed septic system. I've made the septic system as small as possible, as allowed by the health department. So that I have some input as to why the trees near the septic system are being proposed to be removed. But there are several others. So I'm hoping we can get some more expert testimony.
When we go for the site visit, have a ribbon around the trees.
Yeah, they already are.
They're already there.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that the tree proposal that's in the NOI talks about each tree.
So you didn't get a digital copy of the NOI?
See, is the NOI,
It should have come to everybody.
Yeah, it's in the NOI, and each tree is identified, and there's a description about why we think it should be removed. But I also want to say that some of those, what we're calling trees are not trees by the statute. They're not 4 inches in diameter or a foot. So some of these are very small saplings, but we want to be transparent about exactly what we're talking
thank you.
about. So when you're talking about counting trees, it may be different than what you see here.
Okay. Can you bring a hard copy of the NOI to the site visit? I
I think I see two right there,
have an extra.
for what it's worth.
Thank you.
I always email versions out. I can get you to the tree section if you like. This is the wetlands identification for the BVW, right here.
It went to Conservation Commission at stockbridge-mass.gov. It should go to everybody. Everybody should get it.
I may have
Theoretically.
missed it. Yeah, I may have just missed it.
Okay, back, we'll get to you eventually.
Yeah, no, take it down.
So you probably have, I think you helped generate this, right?
Yep.
I don't know if you want, so there's, in the NOI, there's a list of some 13-ish areas identified and numbered on our plan and identified in the real world. And I don't know if Will, you want to walk through those?
Yeah, I mean, should I go over each one individually?
No.
I mean, I want to say maybe 6, 7 are in that proposed septic area.
So just so everyone gets a reference.
That's would you classify them as large trees, medium trees,
I
Giant.
would say,
mature trees?
yeah, medium, maybe 1 or 2 large.
Giant? I see the word giant.
There's one that's, so the largest tree is eastern white pine. And that's essentially the tree, I want to say, that's closest to the water. Would you?
Where?
There's a big hemlock next to the driveway. So we
That's a
got-
white pine.
This one right here.
And that.
Is that the giant?
That's the giant.
Yeah.
See, it's giant. I use the word giant.
The word giant is.
It says right here, number 1 says the giant hemlock next to the driveway.
That's not as giant as the white pine.
So number 1 is up here. And then they are kind of in, I don't want to call them chronological order, but maybe.
Goes around in a circle.
And there's these several are all in the close proximity to each other, 3, 4, and that's in that list.
Are they giant or
Are they gonna be
large?
taken out?
No. Probably,
Sorry.
most of the ones that are in the proposed septic area would probably be classified as small to medium.
Okay.
There's 1 or 2 that are diseased in that area.
Exactly. There's, some hemlocks. I can't really.
The white pine.
Yes, go ahead.
No, you do, please.
Yeah,
please
so
go
the
ahead.
white pine would just be, it's essentially at the edge of the proposed septic area. I don't know the correct wording, if that would be
No, that's
leach
fair
field
enough.
or.
Yep.
And there's a cavity at the base. It's probably 80, 90 feet tall. It's got maybe a dozen previously broken branches out of it. So it might be safe to say it's at or beyond its life expectancy.
There's a lot longer than that.
It's failing.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a cavity at the base of it. Not the biggest, but, in my experience, if there's a cavity, there's usually carpenter ants that travel up and down the tree. So, that would be the largest tree that is proposed to be removed. And then essentially,
How many are on that list?
Yeah, how many, what's the total?
like
Some-
they're probably of the maybe medium to large trees. I think it's like 10 to 13.
I counted, I was just sitting there counting, thinking about the 4 inches, and I have 9 to 10 trees.
9
And
to
then
10.
there's one diseased ash that has the ash borer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you count that in that would make it 10 or maybe 11.
And that would be
So
that.
Of the
Yeah.
tree, official trees.
And that ash tree, the dead diseased ash tree is the farthest away from the water, almost up by the road.
So we need to see them.
Yeah, site visit would give you the lay of the land.
I'm gonna ask you how you're gonna get them out of there.
So I climb, so, there's not gonna be great big equipment brought in, bucket trucks or anything like that.
Have logs to move.
Yeah, so I have a small compact tractor, and where needed, we put ground protection mats if that's gonna be an issue. I don't think it will be. All the trees will be removed in a manner, small pieces, we're not gonna be disturbing the ground or damaging a section and other trees, everything's done.
So without a crane,
Sections.
Pardon?
You're taking it down in sections.
Yeah, they'll all be taken down, essentially limb by limb.
John. They do it with ropes.
And
And how do you propose to
I got a couple of those in my house. You can come up and take a look at.
replace?
Young guys can do that.
that's what I'm saying, that's why he's young. I'd give climbing the trees.
Where do you propose to replace?
We have no proposed replacement.
Well, you need to replace.
Plant in the wetlands, that was a question I have, because I wasn't sure
But
about
you need
that.
at least 1-to-1, and given the size of some of these, we may ask for 2-to-1.
And if we also plant in this side, there are trees all over here, and there's, I don't know how much sun,
As close to the resource area as possible.
this resource area being.
The lake and the BVW is the
Okay.
resource there.
Oh, we can
You know, if
work
you've
that out.
got dead trees in that area, now's the time to get them out of there and
Yeah.
plant some of the new replacement trees.
Yeah.
In there.
So we're gonna want to list what you would propose to plant.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be in charge of any of that. I'm just the removal guy.
Oh, you're just the removal guy? Okay.
But
So,
one thing to mention is a lot of the hemlocks too are overshadowing the house. So the drip line is, 50% or more over the structure itself. So, I mean, it's.
They're also absorbing a lot of water. You've got big trees here, they're taking up a lot of water, so the site will get wetter as you take these big trees down.
so we want a proposal as to what trees you're going to use to replace. We talked earlier about the red maple, which is pretty forgiving for most anywhere you want to put it.
We'll work with a landscaper,
Yeah.
a native landscaper to
But
do.
we'd like to have that list. of,
Yeah,
Okay,
so
this
we'll
is,
get
this is
that.
what we're going to replace, these are how many trees we're going to take away, and this is what we're going to replace them with,
Where you're going to put them.
and where, yeah.
We don't care who does it. Well,
And then
you care who.
We
does it,
care.
We care.
Because you're gonna pay for it and you're gonna want them to live and so.
Yeah, we would also require
Also want good
that
quality.
they live.
Yeah, we have a standard 75% survivability over the course of the project, which is 3 years. So, you obviously want to hire somebody who's going to give you a tree that's going to die, because then you're going to have to buy another one.
When it comes to the warranty.
And if they plant it, they warranty it.
Yeah.
If they don't let them plant it.
Yeah. Usually the warranty's only for a
I think the
year.
challenge,
About a year.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
the challenge is going to be on this small lot, finding good places to plant. We're
It isn't-
we're all for that.
It's been a challenge for everybody on our agenda.
Yeah.
And there's trees coming down all around the bowl, big trees. It has a cumulative impact.
I just got a National Geographic magazine yesterday or today, and it has all to do with how much carbon a big tree takes out of the
Yep.
atmosphere compared to what little trees.
We know, yeah.
Yep.
So that's why some things, they have to be replaced. Either they're dangerous,
Yeah.
but they're still functioning, so you gotta
Put
weigh
something
one
back.
factor with the other.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Site visit.
When are we gonna do it?
Yeah, we're gonna have to get the landscaping before we.
Yeah, you, it doesn't have to be right away. We can wait.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come back for our next
So we'll do a
meeting.
site visit. We're
10th.
definitely going to be coming back another meeting.
Um,
The next meeting is May 10th?
10th.
So we don't need to have the planting proposal before the site visit? Just
No.
for the next meeting?
No, but if you had some ideas
Yeah.
by then, that would be helpful, like, oh, we thought we might like
You'll see
this.
impact trees on
For what's
on
coming
the site
down.
visit.
Yeah,
And we'll be able to.
some flag around the,
They're all flagged, they're marked, numbered, yeah, ready to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, the homeowners actually did it, so I
Thank you.
can't take credit.
Are we going to try to set a site visit while we're all here?
Yeah.
Just make sure we're on the same page.
Not this week.
not this,
Yeah.
Apparently not this week.
next
Not this
week
week.
on, pick a day.
So next week is May 1st. Well,
Fridays are always better for me, but
so the 6th.
Can't do Friday.
yeah.
Can't do.
So we have,
We usually do afternoons.
we
The
have,
5th is Cinco de Mayo.
Might be nice.
Gonna have margaritas.
we have the second.
We'll provide the margarita.
We'll have to.
Easier for you.
I don't know if that's legal, is
We'll
that
have to
legal?
see if your margaritas, you know.
Under $50.
Your margaritas meet up with my son's. margaritas. My son makes the best
And if-
margaritas in the entire world.
And if they don't, that mean we don't
Yeah,
get
you
food or
don't
what?
pass, forget it, you're done.
So the Monday, the 2nd in the afternoon, I'm.
No, Monday,
Fine with me. That's what I was gonna say. I was just gonna suggest.
Thursday.
I could be dead by Monday,
Thursday.
or in jail, there's that
We
possibility.
heard you have some challenges coming up.
Thursday, May 5th.
That sounds better.
What time works for you guys?
Past 3 o'clock?
I'm working okay.
3 o'clock.
That's okay for you?
Okay, wait a minute.
Later?
Midge later would be better, but
3:30?
yeah,
Can we do 3:30 instead for Jamie?
3:30 Thursday.
closer to margaritas.
I have a deposition that day that hopefully doesn't last 8 hours.
Deposition.
So we're going
Illegal.
That's
thing.
pretty
Thirty-
serious.
There's so,
And what day is Thursday? Sorry.
May 5th at 3:30?
Okay.
Okay. See if I can get the time right when I post it.
We've all done it.
Lake Drive, by the way.
Yeah, it's Lake Drive, not Lakeview.
Oh, I've done,
is there a Lakeview in town also?
Are there some landscapers that?
One is in Beechwood and one is on the other side of the lake, and they're like two totally different things, and we just had a conflict last night.
Linda might know, because you know.
I don't know that we can recommend.
That's fine, I understand. Okay,
Yeah,
We'll
check, okay.
we're looking at creative building solutions for shooting now.
The other thing I might mention too is we use battery powered electric saws wherever we can. So,
Ew,
well,
you know,
that's,
if that's
great, yeah,
a contributing factor, it's, you know,
that helps.
Double A or C batteries?
yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah, no, they're just, you know,
solar batteries.
yeah, no, just battery, battery powered chainsaws where we can. So,
Yeah, it's great,
yeah.
it all helps.
How long they run?
Like 50 minutes maybe. Continuous cutting, but
5-0,
pardon?
5-0.
50?
50, yeah.
50?
Yeah, 45 minutes.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna fold these back
How
up.
many?
Thank you for having me.
So it's equivalent to like a 40.
I'll bring full size next time myself.
And the battery
okay, this is nice.
about 45 minutes, so you can always.
But I'll have to revise
I
it.
really did like the way I put
Yeah, go ahead.
them. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Those are yours. This one, I'll take that. You want this color one? But it'll get revised
Oh, okay.
because this one's for tonight and I know we're gonna make some changes.
All right, that's.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Looking forward to it.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. See you then.
Yeah, probably won't rain or snow or anything. Okay, now we have sign Hawthorne Road, 8. Christian Hill Road.
No, we don't have to sign that.
You don't have to sign that? Okay.
Because some people are not on their game these days. Okay, I wouldn't want to mention who those people are. This is because this is 8 Hawthorne Road. This one we do have to sign. The other one we're not signing. Like I said, some of us are not on top of our,
It's okay. Fine.
say at the very least. It's really
Well,
cool.
we made you sit here all evening, Marie. What can we do for you?
Well, I just came so you wouldn't be lonesome here. So, I thought I should, I'd also like to, from the planning board, invite you guys to a combined meeting. I spoke to Ron, at our planning board meeting. I'd like to invite you maybe next week if you wanted to, like May 2nd or 3rd, a week from today, to talk about the LPOD and anything else you guys would like to talk about, or anything that we can work together with, or is redundant with the two committees, or how can we work better? Anything that our two committees should be doing to make life easier for everybody. I mean, if there's anything that you have that you'd like planning board to try to combine with or anything.
So the second is a Monday, you usually meet Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday, the third.
Third would be better? You think the third might be better?
The opposite of you guys. Our meeting starts at 6:30, but we'd be glad to have you guys come at 7 or anytime, or we can put you on first.
7's okay.
Okay, so if you guys.
You get your
7,
whatever
then we'll
business.
get other stuff out of the way.
May 3rd at 7?
Yeah,
Okay.
so, if there's anything,
This room or?
yes. If there's anything you want to tell us first, you'd like to talk about.
Well, I think we really would like to talk about the Lake and Pond Overlay District, how that's managed and why it's important and changes that we're seeing in terms of what we need to protect and where we're going to go in the future. I mean, we've talked briefly about, the rising water table and those kinds of things, the permitting of septic systems too close, what we think are too close to the buffer zone.
Yeah, we would like to talk about.
For a lot of reasons. And also, we've got two properties in front of us right now that are 9.9% of the allowable coverage.
Yeah.
I think there's some procedure.
And I think
stuff here.
education, right? Just so everyone knows the same information.
Well, I think that we're looking at bylaw changes.
Right, but
I mean, that's,
but we have to understand it to change it.
Quick
Right.
one, Ron. The little deck that they have, excuse me, go ahead, I just,
Go ahead.
one quick thing. The little deck that's on the land, excuse me, that
Yeah.
is the head of the dock, is that included in the calculation? Because that's a structure.
It's a good question. Yeah, we should ask.
It may be grandfathered. I'm not
Yeah,
really
there's
sure.
one there now. I understood it.
But
It's like
wouldn't it
it's
still-
like a little deck that the dock
Attaches to.
attaches to.
Yeah, but it's on piers.
that's reasonable.
That would make it a structure, right, Marie? Think so.
So that would likely be well, the whole dock thing is a planning board issue anyway. It's not us.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to permit with us if they're working in the water. But the actual structure of the dock is a planning board thing.
A procedural thing, and
Yeah.
absolutely think it's wonderful to have you here.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
However, you're officially representing the planning board as co-chair or?
Vice chair.
Okay. And another thing is that rather than upset your planning board meetings with stuff that maybe the general public is not particularly interested in, might it not be a good thing for this all to happen in executive session, or is it necessary to happen?
I don't think we can do executive session
Okay.
because there's no legal.
Personal.
Yeah, there's no legal reason for having to do it. I mean, it's nice to be able to do it sort of privately, but the whole point of open meeting is that everybody.
Right, and I'm just thinking that it's intruding upon them, even though it's important to both committees.
Yeah.
It's
But
either us go there or they come here.
Well, it doesn't, okay.
And either way, it would have to be publicly advertised because it's going to be more than a quorum of both boards. And we aren't discussing any legal proceedings and we aren't discussing any personnel issues that would fall under the executive
You
session.
know, I was just thinking in terms of.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Functioning of.
I get it. But the other thing to do is, I mean, we've lost everybody who was ever here. the other thing to do is to have, I mean, I don't know how long your meetings generally last.
Oh, they don't last very long. There's always somebody that wants to go home.
We'll fix it.
So if we,
Fix that.
We never last more than 8:30.
So
well, so,
we'll bring balls and chains for those people.
so,
Bring balls and chains for those people.
Gosh, I can't understand you, John.
We'll bring balls and chains for those people.
so my point was that if we went later, if we came in later,
Yep.
then there might be people who wouldn't. Hi, Keith. Did you miss her?
It's probably making sure I'm here.
She's supposed to be making dinner.
He's muted.
So I was thinking maybe if we did 7:30, that we would
That's
have,
fine.
we would have lost, the sort of
Yeah,
stragglers,
that's fine.
and we'd have a more private meeting.
So if we show up
Oh,
at
that's
7
a
and
good
don't take us on until 7:30, that's
That's a
okay.
good idea.
Okay, so we'll just sort of be last. You just want to be like
Yeah,
kind of last.
yeah.
Fine.
Joe, you got something?
No, I was just thinking, I'll let it go. It was about that 10% number. If they weren't at 10% before they applied, and then they pushed the 10%.
Well, they're right, they got their pencil right to the.
And I don't think it's grandfathered, okay? That's what.
So you're suggesting that little deck thing is part of the calculation.
We can ask.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, we can ask.
No, we could research it a little bit before we.
Yeah, and when they added up, I don't know if that little utility room got added in there.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah.
But they expanded the entryway.
Right. Well, they said that they
0.99.
said that they increased the size of the building by 95 square feet. So the original,
Something was 21 by 17.
right, so one was
One was
80
That's
square
different.
feet. The utility room is going to be 80 square feet. And
The planning board will all take care of that when they go.
But just,
They'll straighten that all out.
I don't know.
Make sure it's not 9.99999.
Yeah. I'm pushing the envelope, huh?
Yeah,
I wish I hadn't said that. But here, I mean, there may be, the people that have lived there before put that wooden deck in
right.
as a prelude to the dock.
Yeah.
And it may have been wet and, all in all, it may be a good thing.
Yeah, otherwise they
Preserve the
would
land.
have gone to gravel or something.
Yeah, or something. So, for the last 0.01%, maybe that thing would be
The
justified.
question is, I guess, ultimately, I mean, I think you're right, I hadn't thought of it, is it part of the
Calculation.
No, that's all that was.
coverage? Or the other thing, is it part of the dock?
Yeah. Well, I
We'll
think,
find out.
I wouldn't get too,
Right up to the end too. Was it 20 feet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Their drawing, it was a T-bone type dock.
Yeah. So that's something that's gonna have to get looked at, I guess, is,
I mean, you could just take 8 feet off the end of the dock, which is out 25 feet in shallow water there,
yeah.
and get plenty of square footage for the other.
But that, again, ultimately, that's not our issue. It's a planning board issue. We are not the regulators of docks, except for the work underwater. We don't oversee the size of the dock. That's not part of our,
The 25 feet?
Yeah.
it's a zoning thing. We always bring it up, and we always monitor it, and we always advise people about it, but it's not our thing.
Oh,
Little more to go.
All right.
Which is part of why it's really important that we work with the planning board. I mean, it's another one of the things.
This is what we wanted to
you know, is to make sure that they're keeping an eye on the size of the dock. But more, I think, the bank and the cutting and the 35-foot buffer is my pet peeve.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's been upheld in the way it should.
If you want to make a list of what you would like, you want to discuss with us, or you think we're not doing well, that would be fine. If you think we should be looking at something more than we are, I think you guys have been in this business longer than anybody on earth.
Now, some of us have been here damn near forever.
1910.
But if you feel there's something.
Before that pond.
Well, it's definitely the 1990s, early 1990s, if not earlier than that.
Sally, have you got to bring that up
I
again?
remember seeing Joe DeGeorge's written on something in the 80s.
Wow. I was in high school.
Well, it was my birth certificate. I remember that.
I was in high school.
Before we leave, the conservation agent, that's still in the works. We're working on Dave and what's his name?
Mark.
But they don't have their business together yet, so that's coming up.
So wait, can I ask a question? So they're going into business, setting up a business, and we may hire them together to
If
be,
we need them, we, on an on-call basis, or maybe we sort of, anyways, if we need them, they'll come.
Dave Cameron?
Yes.
Great.
That's still all in
Okay.
flux because they
Yeah, I've
haven't really
been-
got their stuff together yet.
I've been sort of thinking about that and thinking that I think that the thing that we really need them for is there are the occasional regulation
8 Hawthorne
issues.
Street.
There are the occasional regulation issues that we're not as clear on as we should be. But for the most part, it's really the nitty gritty and the follow-up. It's not the day-to-day stuff, I don't think, that we need them for.
And they're very expensive, at least in my opinion.
I'd like, to that point, being that they're very, very expensive, we don't seem to do very much when we get a violation in terms of fining the violator. And I think,
That might be a good place to have them.
and I think that might be,
and
Yeah.
that can pay for their
They
services.
pay for themselves.
Documenting the aggression.
Yeah,
Good point.
I like that. I was speaking of documenting, a good point. I went to 20 Hawthorne, or 20 Mackinac Road this week.
I did too.
It's fascinating.
It's really bizarre.
Interesting.
I don't know why the people who live next door, Bill and what's his name, haven't blown the thing up.
How about the house on the backside that has no view of the lake anymore?
I know, they've got to be.
They're gonna look in the second floor window in that house.
I can't understand why they haven't just completely lost their minds.
Remember when I told you I went and it was over my head and they were still building?
Yeah, well, they're right on there. Well, you
Down there recently? Oh,
Because
okay.
when I went, it was so big and I was like,
First of all, the truck for the construction guy, the truck is right in the neighbor's lawn or right in their driveway. So I took a picture of their phone number, but there are, I don't know, maybe 8 pictures of the, and the house
Is any of their erosion control
Look
stuff
at
actually
this.
still there?
I mean, it's just absurd what they're doing. This is the edge of the property. I don't know how they can have the scaffolding even there. It didn't look as though there's a picture of the house from the road, from the lake.
yeah, just a small little house.
Yeah, it's characteristic of the neighborhood, you know.
Yeah, it sure is.
It's on the same footprint.
Yes,
4 times over.
Yeah.
so they say.
Except they got a little wing sticking out of the second floor.
And one of those juts out and then starts up
Yeah,
again.
like the Jetsons.
Look at it. I mean,
It's like a castle.
Yeah.
An Oriental. They
it's
got the
just-
curve on the roof on the corners or
It's
anything?
ridiculous. So when we went there last fall, they had planted those little birch trees.
Yeah, they float away, yeah.
Oh, they're still there. But the only thing they are the only thing that's growing.
Yeah, that's all supposed to be
So,
green in there.
but didn't we, I thought we fined them.
We haven't.
No,
This is where we're not so good. John is
I brought
absolutely
this
right.
to mind with me.
Yeah, because
We need some muscle,
Yeah, we had voted to find them.
Yeah, I
We
remember
voted to
that.
find them.
so we didn't,
Why?
because we didn't. Who knows why? Look at that.
Well, that's
Can we
attractive.
still, or is it too late? Can we do it retroactively?
I don't know.
I think the reason that we didn't was partly,
Because it juts out over the neighbor's property.
yeah, I know. I don't know how the neighbors on the south
but is
side
there-
haven't lost their minds.
Can we do it retroactively? Is there,
Well, theoretically, we
Process?
could, but the problem is
They're gonna want a certificate of compliance and they're not gonna get it.
that they
how are we gonna not do it?
They,
I don't know the
they
process.
threatened us.
They didn't do what they said they were gonna do. We don't have to give them any certificate of compliance.
But they threatened us. There was something about procedural.
And they brought their lawyer with them, I guess.
Yeah, they brought their lawyer with them, so I think that's
See,
kind
when
of,
somebody shows up with their lawyer, that's when we bring
yes,
those guys in.
yeah, exactly.
And they tell them where to sit when they're talking.
So is it still being constructed?
Oh, yeah.
So why don't we schedule a site visit?
Well,
Or
good.
why don't we just all go look and see what's going on? I don't like to be intimidated by a lawyer. I really don't. If they're doing something that's not great, then we should.
You know, here's part of the problem in my view, and that is.
Because it's still an open project.
Right now, I've been down there, Sally's been down there. I'm a little reluctant to go wandering around on the property when the guys are up there banging nails and there's scaffolding all over the place. I mean, go look at it, take a picture of it, yeah, go wander around. I mean, I didn't even see if the erosion controls are still in place down below.
They're sort of there. They're there.
Well, sort of doesn't really.
They're there.
But that's okay.
I think it's.
But the thing is that it was supposed to have been planted and there is not, I mean, there are a couple little scrawny, little scruffy looking things growing here and there, but it is not planted anywhere close to what they were talking about doing.
And is the straw bale still up?
Say that.
Yeah, the straw bale's still up, sort of. I mean, it was a half-assed job to begin with.
But that whole walkway that goes down to the lake, was that ever in any plan that came before us?
It was, but the thing was, I mean, it looked great when we looked at it in the pictures. Because it was all planted and there were bushes and there were, they were little low growing bushes and all kinds of plantings in it. Right now, it's just all open pea stone. And there's really nothing except for, I mean, the rocks are there. The
Originally-
sort of terraced area is there that's rock, but it's not.
Originally, they mulched it, and I'm sure the mulch has gone in the lake since.
Mulch is in the lake.
Mulch is in the lake, the pea stone is in the
So
lake.
I would really like for us to do a site visit. It doesn't do any good to talk about it here.
Right.
We need to go look and see what's there and decide
Can
what
we
to do.
I would recommend wearing a hard helmet.
Okay?
Can we go more than just one at a time?
Yeah, no, go
No, we
together.
should do like a group one,
Yeah,
like
go
maybe May
together.
5th.
Do we want to go after we go to the Lake Drive one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the construction guys.
Now, do you need,
What time?
we need to notify them of this?
No.
No, it's
I
open.
know it's open, but I just didn't want to get,
We need to notify them.
No,
Yeah,
we don't.
we should,
We don't have to.
but we should.
It's an open,
But
But it's
open.
nice to tell them that if we're all going to go, I think it's nice to tell them that it's just,
You can find the owner in the coffee shop.
Oh, he's there every day.
yeah. I mean, it's an open application, so we have the right to go on their property at any reasonable time that we feel that we would like to do.
yeah, but I think it's just.
well, typically, they're gonna stop working at 3:30,
When we're gonna get there, they'll be gone.
What time shall we meet?
after the.
3:30, so we won't get there till 4.
After the other side.
4:15.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can email Steve Mack.
Yeah,
Probably doesn't want to hear from us, but.
But just.
No, it's okay. What do you get paid for?
Tell them we're coming.
All right, 19 Lakeview Drive, that's been so long.
You should just take the one. The house is built.
It's 20 Lake Drive.
2019
Yeah, we
Lakeview.
looked at 19 Lakeview when we went by.
We should just, but it's been on here forever. Because they cut down all the trees that they're supposed to cut down. We should just take it off.
Okay. I'm gonna take it off.
Berkshire Theater drainage.
Wait a minute,
Performance standard?
wait a minute. I'm texting Tom Farley to wake up.
Back up.
That went to the lawyer, I was ready to go back.
Did it go to the one?
So did that go to the lawyer?
Let him join the meeting.
Whether he will or not is another story. Whether he'll wake up.
Is he the
Will,
theater, Berkshire Theater?
Yeah, he has one Yale Hill Road, which is at the brunt,
We'll get there, we'll get there.
is at the brunt of the drainage.
Berkshire Theater drainage.
Now, I said to the neighbor earlier today that, some of that drainage really doesn't fall into our jurisdiction, except that they never maintained when they put in that, detention thing, whatever it's called.
Yeah, that doesn't go, the water
The
doesn't.
water doesn't go into it. The water goes down the hill and actually goes into the neighbor's backyard. He almost came to fisticuffs a year ago or so because there was a guy out there with a shovel trying to create a little swale, this deep, to keep the water from going in. And he said, that's
That's just so they can park cars there.
not going to work. And the guy got all ticked off and, Tom laughed. He just said, I'm not going to get in a fist fight with this guy. But, there's issues there.
Planning board.
It probably is more planning board than conservation.
It's stormwater. Stormwater.
It's stormwater.
No, stormwater's us.
No.
Yeah, it's us.
No, but this is an old stormwater.
But when it's us, it's 10,000 square feet stormwater. So
That's a lot of stormwater.
we don't,
It comes down the arc
Oh,
Carter
yeah,
White
10,000.
walkway and just rips.
I spoke with a guy last fall, I mean, we had a whole full conversation about all this, and it was my understanding that he was gonna look into it, but
Yeah,
evidently.
I like that look into it phrase.
I still got his name, I'll find him.
So we dealt with 20 Mackinac, update on dredging treatment of Stockbridge Bowl.
I don't know where that is at. That was discussed in the selectmen's meeting yesterday.
Last week, I think.
Last
I
week?
did not attend.
You hear anything about it, Jean?
I
About,
wasn't there.
from your point of view as,
So, we didn't have a meeting this past Friday because we didn't have a quorum, but even before the meeting began. So it was postponed to the first, Friday in May. Where we stand right now is, the lake management or the watershed management plan is being made by GZA. They have given materials to our group and then we have sent materials back. Dredging, I think, is, from what I understand, is several years, a year or two out between permitting and money, but maybe Marie has more information from SBA. But I haven't seen any paperwork come in my purview. Treatment, the last I heard was, remember, they wanted to change the test plots and the milfoil plots, and so I don't know where that all is, but that wouldn't.
they also wanted to change it to Priscillacor as opposed to the, whatever it is.
Do we know anything?
Lake George just permitted
That chemical,
the Priscillacor.
right. It's
Is it
supposed to be better.
It's supposed to be better.
not as,
In what way do we know? I mean,
I don't know.
we say
It's supposed to be
that,
better.
I don't know why.
It's supposed to be better. I think it may be more targeted. I don't know.
More poisonous?
Stronger?
poisonous,
And does it come in granular or liquid form?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
but it's all the same.
Well, no, because for everybody's edification, Tom, who didn't wake up, unless he did, no, it's Keith. You know, he was on site when they treated Goose Pond.
They spray or granule up there?
No, they put spray, but they had booms going out into the water. But unfortunately, the boat that they use is a fan boat. So once they get up to speed in the fan boat and create a wake, all of the stuff that's going in the water goes behind the fan and just blows into wherever it blows to.
That seems like let me put it politely, a poor way to do it.
I think it is. And Farley said he had to leave because he started feeling sick.
All right, well, I can't give you any update on what's going on with the
Yeah, they
Stockbridge
could just
pool.
get a plane, couldn't they? Just
And water,
Flyover, yeah.
do a flyover from Tanglewood?
You were thinking,
A couple loops around the north end and the south end of the bowl.
There you go.
and Ron, so
one pass, right, Ron?
the monthly water testing starts soon at the end of this month. It is the monthly water testing that we do to make sure everything is healthy, so that begins. But that's highway, or water, Mike Buffoni, so that would be water and sewer.
So there's no movement in terms of testing the water that goes through that culvert that goes underneath the road.
I don't have any information on that, but I can ask.
I'm highly suspicious that a lot of
It's a spot to monitor.
that's the spot to monitor what's coming out of High Lawn Farm.
Pass that down to Joe.
Oh, I don't know if you've seen this. That's for me. I know if it's new or, oh,
And
it is new,
What is this?
right past your house.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Sale is now prohibited from any more regulatory comments. Are you turning this off?
No, we're still going.
We haven't.
Still rolling.
Adjourned yet.
But
Yeah.
see if this is right next to you. So see if you have any idea about it. It's where where the stream is?
The what
Past
is?
your house, the little stream on Shamrock,
The brook.
That's an intermittent stream, right?
an intermittent stream. And right on the hillside above that stream, there's a lot of clearing and a path going in. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's Lanu.
No, the other side of the road.
Behind the knoll?
If you come off of Pine, and if you come off of Vine onto Shamrock on your left.
As you come down the hill?
There's a house and then there's a hill.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff blew over in the storm. They're dead ash trees.
These aren't ash trees, these are shrubs that they were taking, small trees that they were taking from the hillside.
I did see or heard that there was a tractor there that was doing something at the top.
Yeah. And there's a path coming down a steep slope right to the brook.
That path is,
That's been there before?
the path has been there for a while. It's really for a girl that goes to the school at the end of the street. They live in that house that's up there. And her and her father walk there every day to go to school. And he goes and meets her and they walk back that way. And probably some deer.
This is a big path.
If we're talking the same spot.
I don't think we're talking
It's just like a deer trail, a little.
pretty wide. And it's full of wood chips.
Well, that may be, it may be enlarging. I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, look and see, because there was a lot of activity going on and a big pile of.
That just started about a day or two ago.
Yeah.
The activity, I heard about it, yeah.
Last week, and there's a lot of brush stacked on top of the hill. It
Do we
cleared a
have
lot.
any other business?
Make a motion to.
Second.
I'll drive by this.
Okay.